Hello everyone, my name is John Bussart. I'm an HP Solution Center engineer for Ingram Micro. I help support servers, blade systems, storage, as well as networking technology solutions from HP. In my videos, what I like to do is show you a slide from a popular PowerPoint and then present to you what that means within the management interface. Today we're going to change it up a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to do an unboxing of an HP ConvergedSystem 250HC based on HP StoreVirtual storage technology. This is a Hyper-Converged platform that within a 2U platform we get all that we need to be able to scale up a VMware environment. Alright, and the solution, it can be based off VMware vSphere 5.5 or 6.0, but within this 2U environment I could have 3 or 4 compute modules or ESXi servers within my environment that are managed by OneView for vCenter. So if you don't know what OneView for vCenter is, I'd recommend going back and looking at the video that I created last time around. It'll give you a little bit of an overview. So it takes about 15 minutes to get this system up and running once you get it racked and stacked within your environment. And if you needed to scale it out, you'd buy another one of these 2U appliances and attach it, and then run through HP's OneView Instant On again, and be able to scale that out again. That would only take about 15 minutes or so. Now this video is going to be a dual purpose video because this Hyper-Converged platform, this ConvergedSystem 250HC, is based off an Apollo 2000 system offerings. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Apollo 2000 itself and its capabilities. So the Apollo itself, is the chassis that's used in this Hyper-Converged platform. You have the ability to install in it up to 4 compute modules, but there are different options. There's a ProLiant XL170r Gen9 compute module, as well as a ProLiant XL190r Gen9 compute module. Now you could put up to 4 of the XL170Rs or 2 of the ProLiant XL190Rs within this, and either one of these modules has every bit of horsepower as what you'd find inside a DL360 Gen 9 server or a DL380 Gen 9 server, just scaled down quite a bit. Obviously the ProLiant XL190R has a little bit more capabilities as far as expansion is concerned. You can mix and match them though. I could put 2 XL170Rs and 1 ProLiant XL190R inside the enclosure. Now the enclosures come configured a little bit differently. So there's an Apollo r2600R enclosure which has 12 large form factor drives, and each compute module will get dedicated 3 of those 12 drives. There's also an Apollo r2600 chassis which has 24 small form factor drives, and each compute module would get dedicated 6 of those drives. And finally, if you want a little bit of flexibility, there's the Apollo r2800 which has 24 small form factor drives with an expander. And all that means is I get the ability to assign drives to individual components, so I'm not locked in by a certain amount of drives that are assigned to different compute modules in the environment. So our Hyper-Converged offering, our ConvergedSystem 250HC, that's based off of StoreVirtual technology, actually uses the Apollo r2600 series chassis, as well as 3 or 4 of the ProLiant XL170r Gen 9 compute modules. So with that being said, let's unbox our device. So this is the box our ConvergedSystem 250HC comes in. This should be pretty close to what you see within an Apollo 2000 based system, but I keep in mind that this actually is a converged system, so this is actually what you'd see with the converged system, and it might be a little bit different with the Apollo. Again, I think some of the packaging and stuff might be some of the same, but some of the bits and pieces that are inside might be a little bit different. Obviously I've already unboxed this, but I put everything together just so you get an idea of what's on the inside. So let's open this up. All right. Here's our rails right here. The system comes definitely over 75 pounds within weight, so the rails are pretty heavy duty. I also see here is the front bezel, and this is a converged system, so it looks nice and pretty with the front bezel in front of the system. This appears to be some cable management piece or protection for the back of the system. And then over here, you have a bag with some miscellaneous components, some filler panels, looks like some battery cables. My breakout cable for the system's in here as well. This would be the cable to be able to get a keyboard, not a mouse connection to it. So these systems are pretty small, so there's not a lot of real estate to actually put different ports on the back of the system. Also in here are my ILO licenses as well. This bag had some plugs in it. And to get at the system, we've got a little bit of packaging here, a little bit of packaging over here. Got a little foam piece here, or a cardboard piece here. And then I can get at the system. This system's 75 pounds, so I'm not going to wrestle this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video, pull this out, and then I'll restart it, and I'll show you the front of the system. Okay, this is the top of our ConvergedSystem 250HC. There's a little screw here that you need to turn just a little bit, and after you do that, you can pull back on this lever and then get access to the system. Now, like all HP servers, there's a lot of great information on the back panel of the system. For example, they show the drive layout for both the R2600 as well as the R2600 Apollo-based system. So this system is ConvergedSystem 250HC, so it's based off the Apollo 2600 configuration. And it also shows you the compute modules and where they go inside the back. Over here is the motherboard layout for both the XL170r as well as the XL190r. Remember, the XL190r is a little bit taller compute module, so it's got a little bit more expansion than the XL170r. This system, again, because it's the ConvergedSystem 250HC, has 4 XL170r, so you can get configurations with both 3 as well as 4 of these modules inside these converged systems. All right, so a lot of great information on the back panel. All right, once you're inside the system, there's not a whole bunch you can do. You could certainly look at the fans inside. You could look at the battery, and this is the battery for all the RAID controllers inside the system. There's not a real lot you can do on the top of the system. And keep in mind the converged system is more of an appliance that you use inside your environment. So maybe this isn't necessarily what you're going to need to get into on a day-in and day-out basis. But there's the top. So let's go take a look at some other angles of the system. So this is the back of our ConvergedSystem 250HC. This system has 4 compute modules in it, right, that are all powered by these 2 power supplies. Right, so these power supplies are pretty heavy duty. They're 14-watt power supplies, but there is 2 of them in there for redundancy. I'm going to pull this compute module out just a little bit so we can differentiate it a tad. And let's explore what's on the back of this. ConvergedSystem 250HC comes with a flex LAN adapter, which gives us 2 10-gig Ethernet connections. Those will be certainly used as a part of the configuration. There's also on board 2 1-gig connections, which are not used as a part of the ConvergedSystem 250. They recommend that you don't use those. They'd rather have you 2 10-gig, but you will use the onboard ILO connection if you want to do so choose. They do recommend using that. Other things that are on here, certainly this is our location of our serial number for each one of our compute modules. Over here you'll notice that there's slots for 2 low-profile PCI cards, PCI Express cards. This one happens to be a flex LAN adapter because there is an option. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. There's also a USB connection down here, as well as, if you've noticed, there's no video connection or anything on this system. There's only one lonely USB connection. So if you needed to actually get a monitor or a serial port or anything on it, you'd use the same cable that you'd find, or if maybe if you used a Blade system, you might recognize this cable. It's just kind of a breakout cable that plugs into here and then gives you these ports to be able to configure the system. Normally you'd configure this system through the ILO connection over here. Right? That's what's recommended. They give you the ILO advanced licenses, but it's just an additional option just in case something happens to that connection where you can get access to the system. All right, so that's the back of the system. Let's look at another angle. Okay, let's pull out one of the compute modules for our ConvergedSystem 250HC. Again, there's 4 of these compute modules inside this case. You can get it configured with 3 or 4, but this is the compute module itself. All right, we'll place it down there so you can view it pretty easily. We'll take out the air baffle here. And you can see on the inside, we can quickly see that there's 2 processors and our RAM slot. So this system here, even though it's a smaller package, has every bit the horsepower that you'd find inside a DL360 or a DL380 server. And there's 4 of these compute modules, like I mentioned, inside a 2U form factor. So that's pretty impressive as far as performance is concerned. These are our expansion cards that are in here. These are pre-configured when you look at Apollo, when you look at a ConvergedSystem 250HC, but they're configurable with an Apollo-based system. So let's get them out. So there's a few screws that we need to remove in order to be able to access these cards. So let me grab these screws and pull them out. They're smaller, but once you know which ones you have to pull out, it's pretty straightforward. Getting these cards out. There's one up here. One back here. There's also one up here as well. Again, you wouldn't necessarily play around like this on the inside if you're buying the ConvergedSystem 250HC, but these are definitely configurable options when you look at an Apollo-based system. So first we can remove this component here, which is our RAID controller. This would be a P440 with 4 gigs of RAM on it. And again, that's configurable in an Apollo 2000 based system, but this is how a ConvergedSystem 250 comes. And over here is our flex LAM adapter with 2 10 gig connections. Again, this is configurable. It doesn't have to be a flex LAM connection. You can actually have that configured differently if you're looking at an Apollo 2000 based system. Right? And if you don't know what a flex LAM is, it's kind of an onboard network adapter that you can see on definitely a DL360 or a DL380. I have some videos on that. You can go back and take a look where I'll talk a little bit more about that. But this, in an Apollo 2000, will be configured to be a straight up PCI Express slot, but they will be low profile. Actually, before I put that back in, let's point out a few other things. We have the onboard SAS connections. We have the SD card slot, our ILO adapter, our ILO port, right there's the chip for it, right, as well as a USB connector. Let's put this back together. Cable down there. All right, so that's one of the 4 compute modules within my ConvergedSystem 250HC. Okay, this will be our final view of HP's Hyper-Converged offering. Again, this offering is based off of a 2U platform that allows us to have 4 VMware servers within a 2U box, and we can stack these converged systems on top of each other to scale out a VMware environment pretty significantly. This Hyper-Converged system is called a ConvergedSystem 250HC. It's based off the Apollo 2000 series, and more specifically, it's based off the r2600 chassis within that series of Apollo systems. With the Apollo 2600, each compute node is dedicated 6 drives, and the way that lays out is one node will get these 6 drives. Another node will get these 6 drives. Yet another node will get these 6 drives. And then the final node will get these 6 drives. Within the Converged System 258C, I have options to configure this all with SAS drives or a combination of SAS and SSD drives, and certainly using the software-defined storage platform found within StoreVirtual, I have the ability to do some interesting things, including their implementation of adaptive optimization. All right, so let's look at those drives real quick. I'm pop one of those out. So this is one of the SSD drives, and I'm kind of amazed as to how small it is and light. Right? I'll pop out a SAS drive so we can look at that as well. Right, so much smaller. Much smaller. The system has a serial number here. Each one of the compute modules has a power button here. And the Converged system itself comes with this nice looking front panel. I'll kind of sharpen up the image of this system. Alright, so this again is the Hyper-Converged Converged System 258C from HP. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for more videos.